Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. It's Friday. Yay, the Kornelia Stephanie Show. I'm here. Welcome, everyone. It's so wonderful to be here with you guys today. Friday, what is it? January 10th of 2020 already. And I wanted to make this show for you today because I wanted to talk about the eclipse that we're in and all of this emotion that may be coming up for people right now, especially as we're going, deeper into 2020. And what are some of the top things that we can do to stay in our empowerment and to stay on track so that we don't give our power away? A lot of what's happening when we get triggered emotionally is happening so that we can clear the past, that we can really let go of what triggers us, right? And some of the ways that may be playing out is you get to a point where you're just so stinking fed up, where you're just fed up and you never want to feel that way again. And sometimes these emotional triggers, they can really press those buttons so that deep core yearning, that feeling, your voice, your authentic voice that says to you, I never want to feel this way again. I'm so tired of feeling like this. I'm tired of feeling drained and emotionally exhausted. A lot of people are feeling really vulnerable and exposed. And this may be showing up in your dream state to where you're having, dreams of being exposed, or like what happened to me when I had a dream that I was on the cover of my book and I was naked on the cover. And it was so funny because, I was like, oh my God, who pulled the trigger on this? Who did this? I'm looking at the publishing company and I'm talking to everybody and I'm going, who did this? Who did this? And then I like to interpret my dreams. I write them down. I like to interpret them. And then I realized, it's because being so open, being so vulnerable, sharing your authentic heart, talking about your feelings, what's important to you is really important. And because you're validating yourself, you're honoring yourself. And sometimes, we get so pushed where everything is coming up at one time. And right now there's a lot of changes happening on this planet. So in order to, make it easier for people, because I've already done so much emotional work on myself, and then with people that I work with, my clients and people that work with me, that I wanted to make this show and I wanted to, have this conversation, like, what is it, some of the things that we can do? And to help me talk about this, I have my really good friend from Transformation Talk Radio, Jessica, here with me. Hi, Jessica.
Hello. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so glad that you said yes to just, bantering this out, because a lot of people, are feeling that push, that emotional push. And there's just, this is calling us to really unhook, like I like to say, is not to get hooked, but to unhook from, the control matrix, old matrix paradigm, where there was a winner and a loser. in that paradigm. And we have to unhook from that paradigm and come into the win-win paradigm. And that is what it is that we're creating in, for ourselves and each other. So thanks, Jess, for being here.
Thank you. I have a question for you on that, because I think, and I'm speaking from my own personal experience, like the last couple weeks, is there's a lot of things that come up in a good way too. I think there's things that come up, like things that you set in motion that you were passionate about, like extra passionate about it. Like, how do we get it done? Right. And then there's also things that are all over the place, but I feel, and I'm only noticing this because I'm starting to pay more attention, and I'm learning from you, and I'm learning from other hosts on the network, like what's going on with moon cycles and how this affects people. And I think there's a lot of people out there, though, who are probably going through some sort of something. And the first step is probably just recognizing that there's something else bigger happening that's affecting you. Wouldn't you say that? I mean, you have to just realize that there is something else at play, and then you can start to take the steps. Because if you don't know, then you're just oblivious and you're like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, absolutely. And, like a lot of the astrologers are talking about, they can actually pick right now, and they can show, how many, what's happening right now in the evolution on this planet, what's happening astrological wise, and how these kinds of things happened, like, many years ago at different points when there was big revolutionary changes happening for the planet. And basically, that is what's happening, because we're all being called right now to fully step into our power, our inner authority, and not give our power away to outside sources, So that's really what's going on a big scale. It's happening. And with all the structures and things, out there that are shifting and changing. And one of the big changes we can kind of point fingers to right now, and that's the whole thing with Prince Harry and Meghan from the royal family, how they are choosing to leave the royal family, and and I think they're choosing to live in both places, in England and also America, but they're looking to be financially independent. And they're looking to go away from the old structures of the way that we were conditioned before, based on our conditioning, right? And so that's a lot of the things that's unraveling. All those things are coming up to the surface, so that we can choose and claim our power. And one of the things I wanted to, remind everybody of is that we're not victims. And as you know, the work that I do, Jessica, is I champion humanity's sovereignty, the authority over one's own life as empowered creators. But in order to be able to do that, we have to really have made peace with our past. And we have to come from a place of, not from a place of attack and projecting and pointing the finger out, but really looking at from within, who am I? What do I stand for in the world? And what are my core values? What are my core values? So those are the questions that I would invite you, the listener, the audience, anyone to, that's where they can begin, right? They can begin on healing that inner child.
How do you, and this might seem like a really basic question, but what do you do if you can't answer those questions? What do you do if you find yourself stuck in even answering those questions?
Well, that's really good. Because I do have people that say, when I recommend that they begin journaling, this is one of the things, I'm a journalholic, is that I journal all the time. And that's really how I was able to get to know myself, is through journaling. I put everything on the pages. I meet my consciousness, whatever it is, with the pages. And so the first place I would recommend is for people to take it to the pages, take it to the journal. Who am I? That would be one way. To maybe get a coach, maybe have somebody, a coach or a therapist, somebody that you can work with, that can get you started at least, so you can begin. Because at first it's kind of weird because you don't trust yourself. You don't trust what's coming out, and you feel bad about what's in there. Like some of the negative thoughts. I don't feel worthy. I don't feel good enough. Whatever the conditioning was that has not received your love, that
Right.
hasn't received the love. And I know that, Zach, you have a link that I want to share with the audience that is the 21-day challenge. So I created this 21-day challenge for any person that is ready to get really intimate with those parts of themselves. It's an audio course, and it's 21 days, and it's about 10 minutes per day, and it's a guided meditation, reflection, journaling that I take you through so that you can begin to really answer some of those questions about where you are in your life right now. Because basically, if you are thinking negative thoughts and you're feeling negative feelings, that's the part that needs to be addressed first. So the 21-day challenge that I created is a perfect tool. It's $21. I mean, and the thing about it is, it's a lifetime process because, it's like peeling the onion. You go through it, and then you release and you let go. And then you can take it again, maybe in about 6 months, and go through it again. So it's a wonderful process to really help people rewrite the story of their life, because the story that you were born into is not the story that you need to tell today.
Isn't that interesting? Something you said is really interesting to me, because you can go back to it again. Because I was just thinking about that. Like, if I were to ask myself those questions 10 years ago, I would have very different answers than I have today. And I mean, and that's a 10-year span, but like a 6-month period, like, because if you're growing and evolving and changing, and who you are and what you believe and what you want in your life changes all the time. And I think probably if you find your thing to do it, if it's the 21-day challenge and you go through that, it's kind of like doing a cleanse, kind of. It's like doing a spiritual cleanse, right? Like, people do cleanses all the time.
Yeah.
Like smoothies or whatever else they do. So it's kind of the same idea, is that you do a cleanse, you figure out who you are, what you want in your life. And then you can kind of breathe, and then you make your intentions and you go for it. And then, 6 months down the road, you might need to do that again, or a year down the road, you might need to do that again. And that makes perfect sense to me why you would need something like that. You got to find the something that's going to keep you going and keep you on your toes, kind of, and being your best self all the time.
That's it. And the bottom line is that everybody is being invited right now by, the evolution of what's going on, is to really find out what your spiritual values are. What are your spiritual values? What is it that you believe in? What's the definition of you? What is the definition of God? What is the definition of source? Whatever your spiritual beliefs are, but you're being asked to have a spiritual foundation that's solid. What is the meaning of home? What is the meaning of home? If you don't know what home means to you, then, that's exactly the perfect opportunity to find out. The 21-day challenge asks all those questions of you, because it's the process I went through myself. And everything that I personally have found over the last, since 2008, when I really began my journey of discovery. Who am I? What are my spiritual core values? What is it that I stand for in the world? And, even when I look back, and I remember back in 2013, I remember sitting in my morning meditation. One tear is rolling down my face. And the tear was about, I couldn't believe that I used to have a thought that wasn't attached to an emotional core wound, that I was not worthy, that I wasn't good enough, and that I used to make choices that reflected that belief in my daily life. And so the 21-day challenge helps you get to the place of, I am love, I am confident, I am whole, I am worthy, I am abundant, because you want to be able to have that in your core. You want to feel that, you want to live that, and you want to be that. But if you're still projecting out, they pointing fingers, right? If you're pointing the fingers out, you're not doing the work. It leaves the person a victim. And that is another part of the whole paradigm shift that's taking place, is there are no victims. We don't need to act like victims, because we are empowered creators. We're here to change the world. There's plenty of tools and resources available. Find and get support. Do whatever it is that you can do to get your inner Gandhi on. And find out what your spiritual core values are, and make sure that you remember that you are the most beautiful, brilliant, amazing being that is here making a difference and creating a ripple effect on this planet.
I know that there's some people that are going to hear you say that, and they're not in the space yet that they can believe that they can truly feel that way about themselves. But I have to say, from my own experience, and I'm sure you would agree with this, it is, because that's why people like you are here trying to say, look, it is possible, because I've been there. I've been in that other place, and it is possible to get to a place where you are living and you are being all of those things you just said. It's different than just saying an affirmation. It's being the affirmation.
And that's why it takes a practice. It's not just done overnight, or just by me trying to sell you a dream, or, trying to inspire you. No, because every person is here to save themselves. And the only way that you can save yourself and really be your own inner parent, your own inner guru, is through the experience that you rise up into. And I mean, if a person like me that has overcome suicide, that has overcome self-hatred, that has overcome so many different things in my life, can now come from a place of I am. When a person like me, anything is possible. And that's the thing, that's the thing. And I want to tell everyone out there today is that you came here to experience and live your best life. And your best life is what you deserve. But it begins with a choice, with every choice you make. And don't let another year go by. Don't let any more, time pass you by without really taking action, so that you can discover your true self, the unveiling of the true self, right? And so anybody can begin this process. You can, like I said, grab a coach, find yourself a coach, find yourself a mentor. You can reach out to me at radio@KorneliaStephanie.com. You can even, ask me for other people, and I can refer other people to you. So there is plenty of support available to you. And I wanted to, again, make the link available for anybody that wants to take the 21-day challenge in the comfort of your own home. It's $21. Jessica, you rock. Thank you so much for being here with me. What I want to do now is I want to, behind this show right here, I want to put an interview that I did with Dr. V, who is a cancer doctor. She interviewed me, and this is where I talk about some of the emotional core work. And I think this is really important. And if you want to do some emotional processing, you can also go to my website at KorneliaStephanie.com. And there's a link where you can get the free tools that are available. So I just want to say cheers to, here's to our success. Thank you, Jessica, for being here. And thanks everybody for listening and tuning in. And we'll see you again next time.
It's time to get your life back on Burn Bright Today with Jennifer Marcinelli. Tune in each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Learn to move from the darkness of burning out to the light of burning bright. Jennifer is redefining stress and the energetic causes of burnout, shining a light on process to get your life back. For more information about Jennifer and her work, visit burnbrighttoday.com.
Are you ready to shift your current beliefs about death from debilitating pain and loss? Follow Angie Corbett-Kuiper as she shares that through choice, present moment awareness, and keeping an open mind that anything is possible, even in death. Tune in to Beyond Proof Radio with Angie, redefining death and loss, every first and third Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more, visit AngieCorbettKuiper.com.
Stuck in a roundabout of dysfunction? Learn how to speak your truth to power with host Dr. Kathy Obear. Create real change with smart tools and smart strategies. No frills, no fluff, just life-changing conversations to help get you where you want to be. Extend your reach and become an agent for real change with Kathy Obear. For more information on Kathy and her work, please visit drkathyobear.com. That's drkathyobear.com.
Are you done being afraid to jump into the life that's waiting for you? Are you ready for a real shift? I invite you to tune in every Tuesday with me, Tracy L., on the Tracy L. Clark Show, where we will teach you how to live your extraordinary life. At 8 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio, where I will provide the tools and the steps needed to help you transcend perceived limitations and move forward with an extraordinary life. For more information, visit me at tracylclark.com.
Do you need a makeover on your finances? Do you have more month at the end of your money? Do you wonder where all your money goes? Donette Palmore has been helping people since 2015 gain control of money so they can live out their purpose. If you need help or know someone that does, go to proverbsfinancialcoaching.com to book your free 30-minute consultation.
Welcome to another wonderful episode of Wellness Warriors. I'm Dr. V, your hostess with the mostest. And today I've got Kornelia Stephanie. Is that correct? Stephanie, is that how I pronounce it? Yes. So great to have you, Kornelia. Kornelia, I met you through an introduction with Dana, who was one of our clients. And you hosted us on your talk show, your radio show. And that's how we made the connection. But I wanted you to get on our podcast because you have such a great story. And like most people, our pain becomes our passion. And I know that, you teach women to become the authority in all areas of their lives. You teach them to empower themselves, to heal their lives in all aspects. You host retreats. You have private sessions, you have an online membership. So you're a mover and a shaker when it comes to being able to support women and help them to really own their power. So tell us how you got started in this work. What was the incentive to do it and what you're doing today?
Well, it was really interesting. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. It's been an interesting journey, walking this journey of awakening to remember, our truth, to remember our power, to remember who it is that we are. So initially, when I left the corporate world, I left there because I wanted to go out and be a motivational speaker, and I wanted to travel the world. And what ended up happening is I ended up getting certified in, the law of attraction and passion and coaching. And pretty much that was the beginning of it. When then there was a greater, deeper call from my soul, and my soul was saying that I want my own work. I want my own stuff. I want to talk about what I know. I want to teach and talk about what I know. And that was that inner call that was coming that said, I want my own work. And I didn't know what that entailed at the time. That was back in 2010 when I really started diving into emotional processing, the emotional core wounding. And I'm one of those kind of people that I learned through experience. And that's really what I teach others too, is that in order to be the authority in your own life, you really have to go and trust and look within and ask yourself, what your vision is, what your ideas are, what it is that you believe, what it is that you know. And through, I heard you say our pain is our passion. I was, at that time, I was in an experience where I was with a friend of mine who betrayed me. And through that betrayal, which is an emotional core wound, betrayal, feeling betrayed by, our friends, feeling betrayed by a partner, feeling betrayed by a business partner, feeling betrayed by life, feeling betrayed by God, feeling betrayed by source. I mean, you can track it to wherever your level of consciousness is at that time and, bring that into, the present moment. And so that was where it started. So it started with the emotional core wound of betrayal in the emotional core work. And when that first happened, the betrayal wound was in my root. I couldn't sit down for 2 weeks. I really could not sit on a chair for 2 weeks because I was in so much pain of that betrayal. It was in the root. And so just learning and trusting that this emotional work was, there was a reason for this. And so then really diving in and what does all of this mean? And so that's when I discovered that my body wants to heal the suppression that I had from this life and other lifetimes of where this was suppressed in my physicality. And now is the time. My motto is feel to heal. Is when the body is giving you messages, it's knocking on the door to get your attention so that you can bring love, awareness, and consciousness to an area that has never seen the light of day. So pretty much that's how it started. It was the emotional core wound of betrayal. And once I cleared that and moved and released that and healed that and loved that, the next wound came. And again, it was through experience.
It's like peeling the onion, right? One layer at a time.
Yeah. And then the next wound came, and the next wound was abandonment. The next emotional core wound was abandonment. And so how did it play out? It played out by one of my really close friends. When we get triggered, it's usually only happens when we are attached and we have a lot of meaning in this relationship. And then suddenly I felt abandoned by my friend, and who was there before, and all of a sudden now she's not. And now I was feeling really abandoned in our friendship. And so that's when I was able to go in and look at how tracking this abandonment back to my childhood. So where I felt abandoned by my father, I felt abandoned by my mother. I was able to, look at all of that and heal that. And then the way that I healed that is through feeling really what it feels like to be abandoned. And then realizing that I'm not abandoning myself today, that this is the part that, I am fully committed and I will never abandon myself again, because that mimicking reality was showing itself to me so that I can pay attention to me and not abandon myself anymore, not betray myself, not abandon myself. And then, so that was the second core wound. And then, then more came. And then it was like, well, how many of these damn core wounds are there? Goodness gracious, how many are there? So then there was not worthy, not good enough, not good enough. There was shame. And then there was victim, feeling a victim. And then there was separation, the separation from our creator, from source, from God, whatever your faith is. And so once I discovered that there was really a little more than a handful of these emotional core wounding, I discovered that in order for me to heal my life and heal my body and heal myself, I now need to bring in the opposites of these wounds. So what is the opposite of betrayal? The opposite of betrayal is trust. So really to be able to trust myself, to trust life, to trust God, to trust source, is the opposite that this body now wants to feel. this being now wants to experience. And the only way that can be done is through applying it, right? We have to practice it. We have to live it. We have to be the trust that we want to see in the world. So, that's basically how my work began, is discovering the emotional core wounds, realizing that there's an opposite to it because we live on a planet of duality, and realizing there's an opposite to it, and now bringing in the opposite of where once the body and the being was in so much pain is now living and being the opposite. But through all of that, it was a lot of pain. It was a lot to feel. It was a lot of dark nights of the soul. It was a lot of, bleeding my heart, having my heart broken open and feeling all of these things that had been suppressed in my body for a long time. And after going through and discovering the emotional core wounds, then I wanted to, I asked the Creator, I asked God, asked Source, what do you want me to do with all of this information? And then I wrote a book called Peace, the Flip Side to Anger, how I healed my life, my body with the power of my emotions, and how you can too. And that book is available on Amazon. And I talk about my journey in there, and how I found peace, because we're looking at the world today, and so many people, the power of anger in the body, and I don't know anybody on this planet that isn't angry about something. Mm-hmm. That isn't angry. And if we use anger as fuel and as a transmutational tool, if we use that emotion for that instead of using it to cause war, using anger to hurt someone or harm someone. But if we can look at the anger within our own being when we get triggered by something, what is underneath that anger, there is a truth that's waiting to be told, a powerlessness that we felt. And that's the reason why we're angry. We may not know how to communicate. We may not know how to say this to you, but I'm angry about this. And when we can learn to use anger as a tool, and how to heal and clear ourselves, that is that's where the gift comes, and that's when we're really fully in charge of using our emotions to heal our life, which we all have the ability to do because we all have them.
What a great story. And your story and your whole philosophy just parallels so much. Essential number 4 is to heal your emotional wounds. And I've taught our community that, you have to, cancer is a message of love. It's, telling you to pay attention to your life and pay attention to the wounds. And I know personally, when I went through my healing journeys, there was a lot of pain, a lot of childhood pain to uncover and to release and to heal. And, betrayal. I mean, that is such a big one, because women who are diagnosed with breast cancer, I know I felt that way, often feel very betrayed by their body, because how could this happen to me? I thought I was doing everything right. I hear that story so many times. So-called healthy women who are conscious of their health and their habits, end up developing breast cancer. But it's a tap on the shoulder that, you've got to pay attention to what your body's telling you. So what a great story.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how did you start healing your body? So you said, you went from betrayal to trust. Was there a specific modalities, or was there prayer, or, what did you use to heal that? I know I used a lot of EFT in my healing, a lot of journaling, a lot of meditation, visualization. What did you do?
So this was back in, I don't know, I'm having some background noise. I can't hear. Can you hear that?
No, I don't hear any noise.
Okay. That was weird. So the way that I healed myself is through journaling, and through whenever I will feel the emotion, the healing modalities, I would use the modality that's within me. So I would feel the emotion, the trigger, And then I would use a thought process that's also available on my website that anybody can use. And basically, what is this about for me? How does this make me feel? What does this bring up for me? What am I releasing and letting go of from the past? So bringing the mental body in communion with the emotional body, and, processing that out. And I discovered through the journaling and through doing this inner dialogue that it usually takes about 24 to 48 hours to let that emotion really move through. And I would dive into the emotion. This is, I think, a huge problem that we've had, and that is we don't want to feel the pain.
Exactly. We don't want to feel the pain.
We don't want to feel it because it's too overwhelming. And one of the ways that I did it is I would literally dive in to feel it, because the belief was, the knowing was, feeling is healing. And so no matter what the pain is allowing myself to go in there and feel it. And that was really painful. It was hard, but it doesn't last a long time if you really go in and allow yourself to really feel it. And most of, this work, this was back in 2011, 2012, during that time. And this was cutting edge at that time. Everybody's doing it now today. But back then, this was all intuitive guidance, trusting my intuitive guidance, trusting. And again, what's the opposite of betrayal is trust. And at this time, I'm life coaching, I'm coaching myself, I'm coaching, and I teach other people how to self-heal, how to self-coach, but life coaching myself, I'm using this practice now to give it to others to help them, and it's working, right? And at that time, I had 2 cysts on my ovaries, and being an entrepreneur, I didn't at that time have health insurance. I didn't have medical. I didn't have any of these things because I'm just in the middle of discovering this work, and trying to make a living at the same time was really, it was challenging because it's a full-time job to heal yourself. I mean, right. Really, it is a full-time job. And to make that a priority, that was the priority. Was more of a priority to me than chasing money or chasing after any material things, because my value, my worth, my life was so important. I overcame suicide as well because I was a suicidal soul. I've always wanted to, prior to 20 years ago, commit suicide. I've taken many actions towards doing that. And that has also been healed, because I know that there's no way that I would ever have that again, because it's really been healed at the core. But going back to my ovaries, when I had the cysts there, I went to have an ultrasound done. And they told me now that they wanted to take, give me a hysterectomy and have everything removed. And they also were afraid that I would possibly have, a candidate for endometrial cancer. And when I had the ultrasound done, I came home and I called a friend and I told her what the doctor said. And she goes, "Well, Kornelia, I guess now it's time to really walk your talk." Oh.
Bam, right?
Well, I guess now it's really time to walk your talk. You're talking about your emotions and your beliefs, and that you can heal yourself. And now, like that. And then she said this to me, and it was so perfect. And I said, it really is time for me to walk my talk. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to heal this. And so then I called the doctor and I said, I canceled my appointment with cancer. I informed my body, I cancel my appointment with cancer. I'm not having this. I'm going to heal this. I'm not subscribing to this. So then I canceled the appointment, and then I went and I looked at what's the emotional suppression with cysts. What's the emotional suppression there? And would you believe the emotional suppression, well, I'm sure that is anger. It's boiled. There's a boil. There's a cyst. It's anger. And at the time, 2 huge cysts on my ovaries, what does that represent to me? This was back in 2011. I was angry that I didn't have a creative outlet, giving birth, creation on the womb. to my philosophy, to my ideas. I had nowhere to put it. Where am I going to put it? Where is it going to be received? I'm crazy. All these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I was angry about. And once I realized this, I also heard Dr. Northrup say, she talked about how our womb is our creative center, right? This is where creation begins. And so what was happening is that I was holding that anger in my body. And that's how powerful anger is, because it can grow. It can grow. It's like a hot coal inside of you, right? So I once I did the emotional clearing around that, then I shifted my beliefs. I changed my diet, right? Low carb, alkaline diet. I did that. And then I got 3 spiritual healers, different healers that worked on my body to make sure that energetically I felt okay. And I've never had another issue since. So it's really interesting when we take the reins on healing ourselves and taking our power back. And that's my passion, is helping others claim their power, claim their authority. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doctors or having support. I'm not saying any of these things. These are all tools. It's just that this was my way of, doing it. And I always check in with my body. And that is like, if I need this, then please let me know if I need this. And the beautiful thing is, by trusting, to really know if you're doing everything, that you feel called to do, that you can trust that.
I love that. I love checking in with your body, because one of the things that we coach our women on is, if they still have a tumor, or if they, if they have cancer, what is this cancer trying to tell you? What are you trying to tell me? Ask your body, talk to your body, because when you're still and you focus on that, the message and the answers will come. So, that's so brilliant, checking in with your body. Now you have a 21-day challenge that you're offering to our audience. So what is that challenge about? 21 days is perfect.
Yes, 21 days. So it's a challenge not to have any negative talk for 21 days.
Whoa.
So, not to have any negative talk for 21 days. And that's every single day, what is the thought process that you have going on, and how is it that you're talking to yourself? How are you communicating to yourself? Because the way that you talk to yourself is the way that, that's a part, is that, are you talking to yourself in the most loving, the most kind way, the way that you would do your partner or your child or your loved one, if you're not a bully? Only if you're not a bully. Because if you're a passive aggressive bully, then you're still using that anger and you're still projecting that out. And when we turn it back to ourselves, do we bully ourselves? And what I want the audience to receive and practice and know is to have the most juicy relationship with yourself, the most loving relationship, to where the automatic talk then comes back and says, yes, babe. Oh, this is beautiful, babe. No matter what, if you're making a mistake, if you're not feeling particularly great, whatever it is, that your self-talk comes back and responds to you in a beautiful, loving way. That's what we want. And the challenge is, we think between 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and 85% of those thoughts are negative. And then we've got everything else that we're doing on top of it. So I have a 21-day peace practice, a 21-day challenge that will support you to sit down for 10 minutes a day and, get intimate with the dialogue, so that you can then practice being more kind, more loving, more harmonious to your own inner self, because we know the most important relationship that you have on this planet is with you.
That is so sweet. Now, where can they find this challenge?
They can email me at radio@Kornelia Stephanie, radio@Kornelia Stephanie, and I will be happy to send them a link to get it.
I want one.
Okay, you're gonna love it.
I know. No, it's so great. I mean, that's been as much work as we all do, well, speaking for me personally, as much work as I've done over my lifetime, you know, it's so easy to default back to, oh, you're not good enough, you didn't do enough, you know, work harder. You know, it's just that voice sometimes that's not always there, but there's still a little remnant there that I'd like to squash.
Yeah, you know, you're doing such an amazing job, because just, you know, on the Transformation Talk Radio, where I have my podcast, we just recently had, you know, your name always comes up. So you help so many people, and I just want to, you know, acknowledge,
thank you.
Acknowledge that. And I'm just so grateful that I had the opportunity to meet you, and that we connected. And, you know, when we look at the cancer, I didn't have cancer, but I've interviewed a lot of people that have cancer. And then I also had my mother who overcame breast cancer. And when my mom had breast cancer, I, again, being in this emotional work, and this was back in 2010, I looked at what's the emotional suppression again behind cancer. And there is a form of self-rejection. That there's a part. So that's why, in order to balance that and make that right, we have to infuse those cells with so much self-love, with so much radical love, that to not at any place reject the self, because, you know, because that's the part, is where love has been absent. Now love is put in that place. And we have to become such radical self-love, unconditional self-love, you know, without condition, that you are infinitely worthy beyond measure. That's the truth. So the opposite, again, of not worthy, not feeling good enough, is worthy. I am worthy. And that's part of the 21-day challenge, is to really integrate that I am worthy into every choice that you make in the subconscious, because we know that's where the negativity lives, because we were programmed to not be good enough. We were programmed and conditioned. That's how it was, how we are, when we have to, you know, investigate those beliefs and look at those beliefs and see, how does that feel for you today? Is that true for you today? And that's the main thing, is, you know, you're going to find that that's not true, because you already know how amazing you are, how loving you are, because that's the truth.
Yeah, we weren't born with those thoughts, right? They're just infused into us from our environment and all the experiences. And then your book, tell us about your book.
This is the book. You can get this on Amazon, Peace, the Flip Side to Anger. What I have in the book, it's a really awesome book. It's loaded, because it's like a workbook. In the back of the book, it also has a 21-day challenge in there, because that 21 days is really helpful. And I talk about different stories about how, you know, how to release emotions, how to, when you get triggered, what to do, and how to process. And I talk about my own spiritual journey, how to self-heal, and how to, you know, accept that you already have these abilities within yourself, and that your life that you came here to live, you weren't born to fit into this old world. You were born to create a new one. And, you know, imagine now what life is like. I mean, think about a person like me. I had self-hatred at my core. I had all these emotional core wounds. I had all this suicide at my soul. I was a drug addict back in the day. It's a miracle that I'm alive today. So if I can go from that place, from hating myself to, I mean, in grace today, it's like I live in a magical universe. And so if that's possible, and we know that's possible for many people that are here, imagine what we're going to do with our energy, what we're going to do with this amazing, beautiful planet for this short temporary time that we're here. What are we going to do with that energy when we don't have to heal ourselves, when we don't have to, what are we going to do? We're going to create, and we're going to build legacies, make the world a better place for our children and our children's children, and, you know, create a peace on earth. That's heaven on earth, peace on earth. That's that's my mission. I have several podcasts on Transformation Talk Radio every Friday. now we're going from 12 to 2, and pretty soon it's going to be from 12 to 3, 12 p.m. To 3 p.m. Pacific time. And I bring on different people that are here that are changing the world. Like one of my co-hosts is Dana Terrio, and that's how I met you. And Dana's series is Handle the Lump, Heal Your Life. And you can see all the videos and all the shows and everything that I've done on YouTube. You can type in Kornelia Stephanie, and please like and share the podcast, because it really helps us to get the information out there. We just recently got 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube, which is huge. So, yay, that's so awesome. And then I have another podcast called Heaven on Earth, and that's where I bring in spiritual messages and how do we live heaven on earth, and what does heaven on earth mean to you? So we have that. And then I have one more podcast that's called Millionaire Imprint for Women. And that is really to help ladies embrace their inner millionaire, whether you want to make $100,000 in your business in 2020. I'm using 2020 as an example, but it could be 2019 or 2018. But or you want to embrace your inner millionaire and you want to move beyond that and you want to earn 7 figures. It really empowers us when we are doing what it is that we love to do, and we have the financial wherewithal to support grassroots projects that we're passionate about, because we can give and we can be more active in the things that we want to do when we have the funding to do it. And, right. And then there's been so many women that have given their power away and have still not cleared their relationship with money, where this is all part of the Millionaire Imprint, is to heal those karmic energies and about, how money is never there, and the poverty and the conditioning that we were born into, and which I was too. And this is also another thing that I had to make right in my own life. And I created the Millionaire Imprint to show a conscious path of in my creation now, as I am a millionaire in the works. So it's an authentic path that I'm sharing and showing that path, because it's one thing when you come back later after you've earned your $1 million and then you come back and go, this is how I became a millionaire. But I'm doing it step by step, authentically, consciously, and bringing in other entrepreneurs that are working at the same thing. So it's really to live out loud, to love out loud, to laugh out loud, and to have the prosperity and everything that the universe that we're absolutely deserving of.
That's awesome. You're a busy lady. You're doing some amazing work. Thank you so much, Kornelia. We'll make sure that we put all those links there on when we publish the podcast, so people can find your book and your website and your various podcasts. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate your message of hope that you so lovingly share with everybody. I could tell you're very passionate about what you do. So this is Dr. V sending you a big healing heart hug. Until next time, we will talk to you then. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Kornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Kornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at KorneliaStephanie.com.